Gretel here tried to kill me.
She's alive! Alive!
Welcome back to Auto Missouri. I'm Chuck Dennison, and this is episode number 2. It was supposed to be either a reveal of what was in our mystery car in the first episode, or it was going to be a review of Gretel here, which is my new 2010 Porsche Cayman S that arrived, I don't know, about a week or so ago. But a funny thing happened on the way to making the video. Gretel here tried to kill me. So I had to take care of some issues with the car, and you'll see the story behind that. Good morning, Missouri Minions. This is Chuck Dennison, and this is Auto Missouri. And right now we are in the Cayman S, headed to town. I know I promised you in the next video that we'd do a walkthrough on the car, but we have to get it fixed. It's broke, and so we got about 10-15 miles to go. I got to baby this thing, and I can already start to smell it. So what I smell is, I think I smell brake fluid, which is also used in the clutch. So I've only driven the car twice. This is the third time. First time was to go to the DMV to get, once was to go to McKnight Tire to get an inspection, and then while I was there, I went to the DMV and got plates. And then the other time was just to put gas in it. And while I was putting gas in it, up here on the highway, I was on a J curve, a J intersection. There's a lot of cars out here today, and they did that because there's an intersection where everyone was dying up here, a lot of accidents. So they arranged it where you have to kind of make you go up the street, make a U-turn, come back, get gas, go up the street, make a U-turn, and come back to go home. And while I did that, I pulled out in front of a diesel, but he was way far away. He's like a quarter of a mile away. But I kept shifting and nothing was happening, and the revs were super high. And then I realized my clutch was to the floorboard and stuck. And by the time I figured that out, that diesel was right on my butt, and my head is under the dash trying to pull up on the clutch. And so what I'm finding out is that's not an uncommon occurrence with Porsches, because the clutch uses the same fluid as the brakes. And if there's any air in the lines, or if there's a clutch spring that goes bad, or a slave cylinder that goes bad, any of those three things can have your clutch stick to the floor. There's even a fourth reason, and that's your clutch gets stuck on your floor mat, which I was like, I wish that was it, but I was having to yank on that clutch so hard to get it back up, and then it seems to work the rest of the way. But when I got home, the vehicle smelled so bad, like basically like it was burning brake fluid. And so this is one of the first issues. The car has 98,000 miles on it. So I scheduled an appointment for his 100,000 mile check, and also obviously to fix this the clutch issue. A lot of do-it-yourselfers I saw on the internet can fix the clutch. They can bleed the system and bleed the air out. It takes about, I don't know, half an hour if you've never done it before, or 15 minutes if you have. And you take a wheel off and you reach in, and there's a certain bolt that you have to thread off, and it's a plastic bolt, so you gotta be careful. And then you buy a kit that uses the pump. You pump in 19 pounds per square inch, and there's all these different things. And I'm like, I don't want to mess this up. I just bought this car, so I'd just rather take it to someone who can do it professionally. Before I bought this car, I went around in town. I live near Columbia, Missouri, and the town's about 120,000 people, but there's no Porsche dealer. And so I went to Walt's Porsche and Volkswagen shop and asked him, I said, hey, do you work on Porsche Caymans? And if the answer is no, I'm probably not going to buy it, because there's no one here in town that can fix these. And so he said, yeah. He goes, he gets a few of those once in a while, but he is a Porsche repairman, or a mechanic, I guess you would say. So because that was the final answer I needed before I went out to purchase the vehicle.
traffic in front of us. Smell. See if the smell of brake fluid gets worse or not. On the internet, they said a brand new Porsche sometimes has cosmoline, which I haven't heard that term. I was in the military, and the last time I heard that term, they used brand new weapons and they coat it in cosmoline so it doesn't rust. Basically, it's kind of like petroleum jelly, and I guess some of the parts underneath are coated in that on a Porsche when they're brand new, and as they heat up, that cosmoline burns off and it stinks pretty bad too. So a lot of folks are saying no, that it's that, but a vehicle that has close to 100,000 miles, that shouldn't be that. That should have burned off a long time ago. So I'm thinking it's brake fluid. And we're going to go ahead and come up here to Waltz and see what he has to say. I don't know if I could turn this around and show you the front, because we're coming up, I don't know, about 3 or 4 more miles about this J-curve, but not a good feeling when you think you have plenty of room to do this U-turn on this highway, and it's required to do this U-turn. This is a strange intersection, and you have a tractor trailer a quarter of a mile away, and now you're trying to figure out the shifting, and you're not moving anywhere. And I happen to be in the left lane. When you make that U-turn, I take the nearest lane, and so I'm in the fast lane, vehicles approaching, and my head is under the dash trying to reach down and grab a clutch. So, not a good or safe feeling. Here's that J-curve right now. So there's a U-turn right here, and that minivan right there in front of us just did a U-turn to pull back to go to South Highway 63. And if you want to get to this gas station over here to the right and you're coming from the other direction, that's the only way you can do it. And that's because this intersection here in the middle was unsafe, and so they blocked it so you can't shoot across this intersection anymore. Too many cars are getting in accidents, too many people are dying. But when you leave that gas station, you have to come up this hill, and they give you an extra lane over here. You see the 3rd lane, but you got to get from that lane over there all the way to the left here, and then once you get to the top of the hill, signal that you're going to make a U-turn back the other direction, which is what I was doing. So right here, you get in the left fast lane going back the other way, and I had diesels right about where that truck is down there. It's a good distance away. But by the time I had the clutch issue, you're only going 10-15 miles an hour on the highway. Everyone's coming pretty fast. So next stop is Waltz Porsche. By the way, I forgot to introduce you to the car. She's got a name. This is the 2010 Cayman S, and her name is Gretel, for Hansel and Gretel. She's German, and the reason why that's important is I got another car. It's another German car, so it's going to start getting confusing, so I needed to start naming them. But this is Gretel, and so we're taking Gretel to Walt's garage. One other thing I forgot, I'm wearing a Hoobie's Garage t-shirt. See, so I really am a fan. So if I talk about him or kid about him, I really am a fan. That's kind of how I got into maybe even buying a Porsche, because I said, hey, if this guy from Kansas can end up owning Ferraris and Porsches, why can't I? So although we got to talk about this Porsche, it's 100% financed. I didn't put a penny down. So normally banks want you to put quite a bit down before they give you a loan. I have a pretty good bank. So anyway, Hoobie's Garage. Intersection. We call this a dog bone. We got a lot of things. We have J-curves, we have dog bones, and we have diverging diamonds. I don't know if you all have that where you're at, but it's some interesting intersections, to say the least. In the dog bone. 12 cars in front of us going through the same dog bone intersection. I happen to just be the last car. Shift's fine. I don't smell anything, so I don't know if I overtaxed it. doing spirited driving or what, but maybe a slight smell now, but shifting fine. But you don't want to be out on a highway and have something catastrophic go on with your engine, so you want to make sure it's preventative. So that's what we're going to do now. So here we are at Walt's. And they're going to go ahead and check out the clutch situation. Because the car's at 100,000 miles, they're wanting to do the 100,000 mile check as well, and which means an oil change. And so I'm texting the dealership all the way back in California to see if they've done that. A lot of times when they get a car in, they'll do those kind of things before they sell it. So if it's already been done up there in San Diego, then I'm not going to have them do an oil change here. But if I don't hear anything from them, they're just going to go ahead and check the oil. But they're going to give me a ride home, and I'll come back later and get this car. Well, I got my car back, and 5 or 6 hours later, and $190 lighter, which actually is better than I thought. They changed the oil. They did a 100,000 mile check because it's at 98,100. And they looked at the clutch, and they said the clutch, they couldn't open the clutch up, but they test drove it. They looked for fluids, brake fluids, it's making that smell. They can't figure out what's causing it, so they said just to keep an eye on it. If it sticks to the floor of the clutch, bring it back again. But other than that, the car is fine. So I don't know what to tell you. I stopped by. I have a cousin who works in another car dealership. Stopped by there to talk to him, and I can still smell whatever that is. It's like a burnt smell. So anyway, at least I got my car back, and it seems to be operating fine. The clutch doesn't slip or anything. So headed back home. Talk with you all later.
The next episode will be a review of Gretel, the likes and dislikes, the capabilities and limitations of the Porsche Cayman. And then I'll follow it up with the mystery vehicle that was in episode number 1. You still have time to guess in the comment section of what kind of European sports car you think it is. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you next week, minions. Have a great day. And remember, misery loves company.